Hello, everyone. I know it's been a really long time, maybe 4 weekends, three. I know it's been three since I posted a video, maybe four. I'm lost, but I've been really busy. I've had so many other things going on, and it's been hard for me to get in the mood to want to work on my miniatures and dollhouses and stuff. But literally today I got up out of the bed and literally out loud talked to myself saying, get up and get this video going. One reason I couldn't get in the mood was just, again, because of my job and other things getting in the way of working on it. Another one is, I've said this before, if I don't have the supplies that I need to work on something, I'm never going to get in the mood to do it. So I had to get up and dig out all the things that I need for this project. So once I got that out, it kind of got me more in the mood to want to work on it. And then, like I said, it's been like 4 weeks since I've done anything, or it's been longer than that actually, because whatever the last video was that I did post, I had it done months or almost weeks, not months, but weeks, several weeks ahead, done and had it posted. So it's been longer for me than it has you all since I've actually worked on anything, because I get stuff done. Okay. All right, so I've learned to just leave that stuff in there, but after taking that phone call, which I didn't have to take it, but it did cause me to stop the video for a second. But anyway, I was saying I get my videos done several days ahead of time, but this one, I think today's Tuesday. I'm going to try to rush and hopefully get this done on top of all the other things that I've got going on this week. But I am excited to get back to work on it. I know I keep saying I'm going to start the Munster project, and I know a lot of people are excited about it. So I'm finally getting it done. Really, my heart is wanting to keep working on the Gaston Beauty and the Beast project, but I know a lot of people are really anxious for this one to get going. So we're going to start today, I guess, as you saw by the thumbnail. We are going to, let me focus. There we go. Make this little guy and this little guy into Eddie and Woof Woof. So I'm going to get my stuff laid out here, and we're going to check out and hopefully make that look like this. All right, so here's what we've got for Eddie Munster. Now, this is the only purple fabric I could find. And I looked and I looked and I looked this morning, and I said, I know there's a tiny piece of fabric and I am going to look until I find it. So I finally did find it, and here it is. And I think it is going to be just enough to do that. Um, as long as I don't mess it up. I mean, with that amount, it's like, okay, you got one chance to get this done. So that's going to be for his shirt or his little jacket and his shorts. The socks will be painted on, and I'll paint the shoes. And then this is the only fabric I could find for the shirt, which he's already got a white shirt. I might can just maybe use it and change it up a little bit since it's already kind of made. But I don't know. I'll see about it. I just don't know if that one will be too bulky under the jacket or not, because I was going to kind of do just like a little fake, like a dicky, if you know what a dicky is. But this giant piece here is all of the fabric I could find in the white. And then I've got this stuff for the hair. I don't know what color his hair is. I think it's a dark brown. And I think we would be better off going with this dark brown. But a lot of times it looks black. So this ain't dark enough brown to look black, but then this is black, and it looks kind of gray on camera the way the light hits it, but in real life it's really blacker than it looks. This back here is almost a dark gray. Yeah, I wished I had something that was like jet black. I don't really like that as much. I'm kind of mixed between one of these two for the hair, but I don't really know exactly which one I like the best yet. I may end up using this for Eddie and then using this for Woof Woof, because I know he's got like a green skin with brown hair. And then I think Eddie is just a regular flesh tone color um, with black hair. Or like I said, I think it's really dark brown, but it looks black. So I think we'll be okay going with this. And then I think what I want to do with Woof Woof is he looks like that, and he don't really have a shoulder. So I'm kind of wanting to, some of you may not love this idea, but I kind of want to glue him in place to where he ain't gonna like be movable. But I think that'll be okay. I kind of like him being posable, but I think I want to glue it in place kind of in a pose that I want him, so that I can take this clay and fill in that big gap at the shoulder. And then I was debating if I should paint his clothes on or actually make an outfit. I mean, that is so tiny. It's not even as long as my finger. I mean, that's so little. But I don't know. I think I will get his shoulders molded on there with this clay and positioned the way I want him, and then maybe get his skin painted, and then decide if I think painting the clothes on will look good or not. I don't know. I'll have to see when we get closer to it. And then let's see what else. I guess it's pretty much it. So I'm just going to kind of cut out his little outfit and get it ready to glue on. And I think I might try to use the shirt that he's wearing, but I may cut those sleeves off so it's not so bulky under there, because I'm afraid that's going to bunch up and look weird. So I'm going to cut those off and then cut him a little outfit out. So I forgot to show, I've got this little black ribbon that's going to be his little tie. So I found that, and it was laying here, but it was covered up. Now what I've done is we're actually going to put him to the side, because I started working on Woof Woof. I glued him in place like this because I was just trying to think of a way where when Eddie's holding him, his arms would look like how it would, like, like the way I wanted it to look. But I just thought it'd be cute if it, I don't know, I just like the little pose that I've got it in. But for some reason his legs aren't holding. I really want those legs to hold. I'm gonna have to put more glue on it. But dang, it's really taking a lot of glue. Hopefully that should hold. I'm not sure why that one leg's not holding. But anyway, I've got him in this position, and now I'm going to take this little Sculpey clay and just kind of fill in that little hole, and then these little holes here, and then the head doesn't really need filled in. I'm going to go over that with something else later so that the hair can go across there better. But I'm just going to take this. Alright, so I'm going to take this clay, and I'm not sure how well, I mean, I'm going to have to bake it to get it to, for this clay to harden. And I honestly don't know, I'm not sure how well that's going to work. Like, I don't know if it's going to be okay to bake this little doll in the oven or not. I mean, it's porcelain, so I can't imagine it hurting it. It's almost like, if you was putting a pot in the oven, or like a ceramic dish or whatever. I can't imagine it hurting this, so hopefully it won't. I mean, if it blows up in the oven, I'm gonna be without a Woof Woof until I find another one. But back here, it definitely needs some filling in, back there where you see that little elastic. And I'm just gonna take and just press it down there. And I think his outfit is actually going to be a mixture of painting. Like, I may paint the sleeves, and then part of his jacket will actually be fabric. But for the most part, I think it's just going to get painted. So I just want to fill in that little hole. And where I know the fabric is going to touch or cover, I'm not as concerned about it. But I'm definitely going to have to pull out a little tool here, because my fingers are way too big to try to mold this. But I just want to try to get it down here and blend it around and just get it the way I want it to look. So I'm going to work on this off camera, and then I'll let you see what it looks like before I go bake it. Alright, so here's what he looks like, and I am just not sure what I'm doing. I thought that I just wanted to fill them holes in, and then just kind of partly, I'm noticing that one shoulder looks higher over here. I might need to shove some clay up in over here on this one, because he looks really unbalanced, or just something's weird about it. Yeah, I need to put a little ball of clay right up over on the other shoulder real quick. But yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. I just have no idea really. A part of me thinks, should I just mold the clothes on with the clay and then paint the whole thing? But I kind of like my idea of using a little bit of fabric for the jacket part so that there is like a realistic piece to it, so it ain't just all one hard piece. I just feel like the fabric will give it a little more realism. So I'm just going to keep going with the clay. I'm going to bulk out this shoulder a little bit to match up with the other one over here, and then bake it. And then I think, like I said, just paint part of it and then use a little bit of fabric. So I don't know. I'm just going to keep going with my thoughts and see how it looks. All right, here he goes. All right, so here's what he looks like. I think that looks pretty good, and he's really hot. Um, like he's just came out of the oven, and he's kind of hard to hold, but he looks pretty good. I was so scared it was going to blow up because his arms and legs are hollow, and where I kind of blocked up the hole, I was afraid the heat would make it crack or something, but it did pretty good. It didn't break. I don't see anything that looks wrong with it, so I'm gonna let him cool off before I paint it, and then I'm gonna paint him a gray color, and then make part of the jacket out of fabric. So I'm gonna grab the fabric and get that ready for that part. But so far he survived the worst part of the day, which was going through the oven. So I'm so thankful for that. All right, so I'm going to use this gray color, and I'm going to use it straight up from the bottle so I don't have to mix anything, because I'm going to do a little bit of the painting now and a little bit later, and if I don't use the exact same color, then it's not going to match. So I'm just going to take that gray and paint his little body, and this will kind of give me an idea of how his suit will look. He's pretty much just all gray. It's just a solid pantsuit, long sleeve. So keep his little feet plain and his little head, of course. And I'm just going to get that painted real quick, real simple. And right here where sort of the clay doesn't, where it looks a little crude, right in this area, that's why I want to use the fabric part, because that'll kind of hide the crudeness, because his jacket will kind of come down and block some of that. Alrighty, so here's where we are, and he is looking very much like the baby from the Addams family. But that is going to be completely opposite once we get it done. I mean, he's going to be a fuzzy-faced little wolf man once we get him done. But so far, I think that looks pretty good. But like I said, right here where it's a little bit crude, that's where I'm going to bring in this fabric. I've just cut out this little shape here, and I'm going to slide that down over his head. And I'm going to... Oh my gosh, yours... Oh, okay. All right, so that just keeps happening. And again, I'm keeping that in there. But here's that little fabric piece, and I think that looks really good once I get that glued down. It's just going to help make it look like a little jacket, and it's going to give it some texture. So I'm just going to glue that on. Right now it just looks like a little vest, but once I paint it gray, it's going to look like it's a part of the sleeve. And then I need to paint in that little square or that little triangle there to make that look like a different color of fabric, like his shirt, because as you can see, he's got a little shirt on. And then I can cut out a little collar and the little lapel to go around here, so I'll do that too, but I'm going to do that off camera, and then we'll start working on his face. So here's how the little jacket looks, and there's what it looks like with the little collar lapel thing, and it looks pretty cute. But now let's paint it up. Okay, so here's what he looks like. Let me focus that. And it looks pretty cute. Now it is a little bit wonky, but it looks pretty good. I think the more I get done, the better it's going to look. And it's a little sloppy right here, but that's okay. I mean, it just looks like it's been played with and maybe repaired. or something. But let me go ahead. I've got 2 shades of green. I want to go ahead and make him a face color. Now, I'm not sure what color his face is supposed to be. I'm pretty sure he's green. Most people, when they make replica Woof Woof or Woof Woof, I don't know if it's Woof Woof or Woof Woof. I have no idea what this doll is called, but I think it's Woof Woof. Like a dog goes woof. But I'm just trying to mix a color out of this 2 shades of green and some flesh color and just kind of make it up like that. I kind of want it a little bit darker because in the pictures of that original back there, his skin is darker than Eddie's, so I want to make it kind of dark. Okay, so that's probably good enough. And then I'm just going to paint the whole head this color and his little hands. So that's what he looks like now, and I'm going to let that dry, and then I'm going to go in with just some black and maybe some browns and give him some details, paint his little mouth with some teeth, and I'll just do that off camera. But he's just a little green monster looking thing. And then wherever I want to put the hair, I'm going to paint it brown before putting the hair on it. Okay, so here's what he looks like after I got his little face painted. And he looks pretty cute, but he really needs the hair, and I think that's really what's going to finish it off. And again, I painted with the brown where I kind of want to put the hair. And the only other thing after that is I'm going to put a little detail in the shirt so it'll stand out a little bit better. And then when I do pictures, it'll show up better also. But he's looking really good. The face was so tiny, that's why I wanted to do that off camera. And then, of course, I got to paint his little shoes. But the way I was wanting to do the hair is I combed out some yarn like this here. And I might do a little bit of this and then flip it back, but for the most part and for the beard area, I think I'm going to do like a flock and just chop up some of this yarn really fine, and I think that would do better than using these long pieces because I think it would just be easier. He's got a pretty short beard. It looks like he's got a really groomed, trimmed beard, so I think flocking it would be easier. So I'm going to chop up some of this to make a flocking, and then we'll glue it on. Alright, so I've put some glue right on his forehead, sort of where the brown paint was, and I'm going to sit that down for just a second. Now, like I said, I want to use a little bit of this long hair, so I'm going to snip some of this off, and I'm going to glue it kind of coming down longer right over the face, because later I'm going to kind of slick it back. So I'm hoping this is going to give me the look I want. Trying to work with something this tiny is just so hard to do, but I want to get this glued down as best I can, and I want to make sure I've got enough there to where it's going to have the look. And I'm going to kind of hold it with my finger and kind of press it into that glue using the tip of the glue bottle, just as you see me doing, just to make sure those ends are down there good. And that, I think I got it, and I think that went pretty good. Okay, I think it's on there pretty decent. I'm gonna let that glue dry just like it is, and I'm gonna go ahead. I'm not gonna try to slick it back yet. I want to make sure that stays glued down. But now I'm going to cover the rest of his head. Let me move the camera down a little. Right down here, I've made the flocking just by chopping up some of the yarn. So I'm going to cover the rest of the head in that. So I've got that glue on there, smeared it around with a toothpick, and I'm just going to press that on there like that. And I really didn't cut enough up, but I'm going to cut some more for the beard. This might be enough for the head, but I'm going to use the dry end of my toothpick and kind of poke it around. And really don't press so hard that you make the glue ooze through there, or it's going to start making a mess. But just press it pretty firm, but not, again, not so much you push the glue up through it. Just enough to tack it to that glue. And then you don't want to do anything to this until it's completely dry, and I mean completely dry. I would, on some other projects, I would try to pull it away way too soon, and it just made it really hard to do. So I've learned that letting that dry you'll be so much happier if you just let it dry. So I'm gonna leave it alone for a little bit, and I'm gonna go outside, work in my yard. I've been going back and forth from this to some flower projects in my yard. I've been planting a lot of flowers and repotting some African violets. So I'm gonna go work on that, and we'll put a little bit more here, and then we'll come back after it's dry. So let's see how that kind of looks. All right, so the glue's been drying for a while, and I think it's going to look pretty freaking cute once I get this completely done. I mean, it's actually kind of looking like the little picture back there, but what's going to really help is to get the little beard on. So I'm going to put just a teensy bit of glue there and a tiny little bit of hair. I don't want anything too crazy because I'm going to try not to cover up those little teeth that I painted. And there's what we got. But of course, once the glue dries, we're going to pull away the biggest part of that hair so it's not so wild. And I think it's going to be pretty nice. And then I think the last thing is, other than putting some details on the shirt, I kind of want to, of course, paint the shoes. And I may go in with something and put a little more detail on the gray part. I don't know what I'll do, but I'm going to try to do something so it ain't just so plain. He kind of looks like he's in a Pee Wee Herman suit with the gray suit and the white shoes. The white shoes are freaking me out, so I can't wait to paint those. All right, so I took him outside and I blew off as much of that as I could, and I've actually got this little can of like air, and I'm just gonna do that because that's gonna get a lot off of there, which I got most of it off outside, but and that can is about empty, so it's not like super strong, but it got most of that hair off of there. So he's just got this perfectly little flocked head of hair and a little beard, and then this little piece here, I'm going to swoop it back and just kind of glue it down back there. But oh my gosh, is that not the cutest little thing? I might put, I don't know, I think it looks pretty good. Yeah, I'm just going to glue that down and leave it. He's kind of cute. He's got like a little mohawk going on, but I gotta glue that down, and that's like the cutest little thing I've ever seen. I do want to try to put a little bit more detail in the face, maybe like right in the corner of the eye. So I'm gonna piddle with that for a little bit and then get his little shoes painted and finish up his little shirt. And I noticed this paint does not want to stick too good. There's already a couple of scratches on his legs, so I'm gonna clear coat it when I'm done. Alrighty, so I've got him done, and I'm actually not going to get as far as Eddie today. I've just, again, been super busy, but there is our little Woof Woof, or Woof Woof. I keep saying wolf, but here's what he looks like there. Let's grab him, and after I glued his arms in place, I'm kind of thinking, why did I do that? But I just thought it would be easier for the clothing to not move. Making clothes that tiny would have been really hard to sew, and then making his arms jointed you know, the way I glue them, it would have just pulled apart. It would have just been, I think it's just simpler to have it glued into position, but I'm just not sure why I chose the position that I did with one arm up, but it's cute. I think I done it just because it just seemed to fit naturally. But anyway, I think he's turned out really cute. Let me try to focus. So I put a little fur on his hands because I noticed he had fur on his hands. And of course, I did a little bit of detail on the eye and under the eye and the nose. I don't know how well it shows up. I'll try to get better pictures, but I think he's turned out pretty darn well. And there he is with his little picture back there. I think it looks pretty good. I am so tickled with how it's turned out. And again, in the next video, we will work on Eddie, and I can already vision how cute that's going to look to have the two of them done. So I can't wait to get to working on that. And so I hope you enjoyed this little video. Thank you all for watching, and please like and subscribe so you can check out the next part of this project.